What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saved by the Code, where I talk about all things Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Man, oh man, do we got the juice for you? As always, Saved by the Code, bringing you the juice. Let's get into it. What's on the top of everybody's mind today? The entire world is watching, was watching, as Jerome Powell, Jerry P, J Powell's, whatever you want to call him, chair of the Federal Reserve, just some old guy who stands up and says a bunch of financial jargon, and then we all go along with it and obey. Anyways, he was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Jay Powell was in J-Hole, Wyoming. And he gave a little speech, and the crypto market exploded. Literally immediately afterwards, it responded immediately. Bitcoin jumped by like 5%, up from like 112,000 to 117,000. Ethereum went up like 15%, everything else 10-15%, all these crazy gains immediately because Jerome Powell hinted that the Fed may cut rates in September. Just hinted, didn't say we're going to, but said that they're open to adapting to the changing economic environment. It's not verbatim, but it's something along those lines. And I love in a lot of these articles that I read that he added, it's not because of Donald Trump. No, we're not cutting rates because of him, but we might cut rates. So it's just so ridiculous how much he's the most hated man in the world. And whatever, you can think what you want about him, but holy crap, is he doing so much for crypto and Bitcoin. I mean, come on. You can't deny it. Love him or hate him. I mean, Bitcoin would not be where it's at right now if it wasn't for Donald Trump. Let's be totally real. It's sitting at around 116,600 right now. ETH just so close to an all-time high. Everything else up 10-15% because of this Jay Powell meeting in J-Hole, Wyoming. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm sorry. But another thing that's blowing up are NFTs. They're going crazy again. I mean, really, these Moonbirds, I bought one of these a year and a half ago, and for 0.6 ETH, and it's up to 3.7 ETH now. Like, that's a nice turn right there. Like, yeah, so Moonbirds are going crazy. NFTs are coming back. Crypto's coming back. It's been back, but, you know, these things take time, I guess. But it's sad that we're at this point to where we have to wait for an old guy to walk in a room, stand in front of a podium, and say, we're going to cut interest rates or we're not going to cut interest rates. All right, let them fly, let them rip. It's just so ridiculous, but that's where we are today. It's inevitable, Mr. Anderson, that this will happen. You can't create something like Bitcoin that gets as big as it does without these guys wanting a piece. The IRS, the government, the Fed, the this, the that. And it's just now it literally determines if the price goes up or not. It's pretty bad. But it's inevitable. It's just you can't. I couldn't see you creating anything that gets as big as it does without these players getting involved in influencing its price. The beauty about Bitcoin, though, is that it is immune to media. It's immune to the media. In that you can try to smear Bitcoin all you want, but the price ain't going to be affected too much at this point. Like, all the it's bad for the environment argument, it's for drug dealers and money launderers, all that crap is so old, and it just doesn't affect Bitcoin nearly as much as, like, let's say a publicly traded company. Like, you can smear a publicly traded company so easily, and there's a thing called short selling too, where it incentivizes people to take down publicly traded companies so they can make a sweet profit off their price crashing, if their stock price crashing, even if none of it's true. It happens all the time in stocks. They just make stuff up, and it'll destroy the image of a company, an image of a CEO. Stock price will fall. They'll short it. They'll make a ton of money. It's nutty. I mean, it's so dirty what happens. And it happens all the time in the stock market. But Bitcoin is immune to that. You cannot do that to it. You can't go, oh, Bitcoin, the world's gonna burn because of it. and there's drug dealers and terrorists that use Bitcoin. Oh my God, short it now. It's going down. Like, everybody's gonna be like, what? Like, okay, bye. Like, it's just, there's no CEO to smear. Like, it's immune to it. I mean, that's an amazing property of Bitcoin. Nothing else is really immune to that. Any publicly traded company is not immune to that. But Bitcoin really is. But it is not immune now to an old guy standing in a room saying if he's going to cut interest rates or not. But he hinted at that he would, and crypto just blew up, like, instantly. Like 10 this morning, for me, everything just blew up, like 10-15%, just because this old guy said something in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So yeah, that's where we are, sadly, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And he's not doing it because of Donald Trump. Just want to add that in there real quick, okay? You know that, all right? If we cut rates, it's not because of Donald Trump, all right? Okay, all right. Now we can go on with the meeting now that we know that, now that everybody knows that. It's just so ridiculous. Cut the Donald Trump hate crap. Like, hate him or love him, I don't, like, the amount of negative media coverage is just unbelievable. And it's such a double standard because there was none of that crap for the previous, whatever you want to call him, if he was a president or not. I call him an Alzheimer's patient. But anyways, it's just, there was not nearly as much. And people will say, oh, it's because he was actually great and wonderful. It's just, I mean, what do I know? I'm just a little dude talking on the internet. But what I do know is that Trump is all about Bitcoin and that Bitcoin is freedom, if you ask me. So you can draw your own conclusions there. Anyways, enough of that politics crap. Let's get on with the show. The juice. I got all the juice for you here. We got BlackRock, of course. Can't have an episode without talking about BlackRock. They are now the largest Bitcoin holder in the entire world. In the world, they hold 781,160 BTC. That is approximately $90 billion. And they have increased their Bitcoin holdings by 75% over the course since the 1st of January. That's a lot. And their Ethereum holdings have increased 90% over the course of the same time period. So they are stacking crypto because of their Bitcoin ETF product. It's the largest one. It's the biggest one. And they have to hold that Bitcoin for their clients on behalf of the people that buy the Bitcoin ETF. Essentially taking that Bitcoin out of circulation. I mean, it's just being held. That's not being sold. Unless the ETFs are sold, of course. But when they're holding that, that's 780,000 Bitcoin out of circulation. Some of it's going to be sold and bought, whatever, but that fluctuates. But that's a lot of Bitcoin, you know. And people will throw around their conspiracy theories here saying that they're doing this to control Bitcoin. They're buying all this Bitcoin to control it. Another amazing thing that Bitcoin is immune to is control from somebody owning a lot of coins. Sure, if you held 70-80% of the coins, that's a lot. 100%, okay, that's just ridiculous. It's not even like, but let's say you held 60%, 70%, that's a lot. All right, 50% even, but they don't know. They're approaching 5%. 5% of Bitcoin is like a million, 1.1 million or something. That's 5%. So they're approaching the 1%, or 5% mark, and people throw around their theories saying that they want to do this to control it. But you don't control Bitcoin because you own a ton of the coins. That's amazing property of it. And I think it's impossible for you to surpass holding 20%. That's, 4 million Bitcoin, around a little more than 4 million Bitcoin. I think that's impossible at this point because of how distributed it is amongst the holders and the hodl mindset with Bitcoiners. You don't sell your Bitcoin. You know, we're not letting this go. There's a lot of hardcore people out there like that. There's a lot of people that'll just paper hand things and let it out, but I think at this point, owning 20% is like the tippy top that you could achieve. I don't know, maybe 30. That's a lot of Bitcoin. That's a lot. I really truly don't think you can. And you got to think there's 6 million of it that's lost forever out of the 21 million. So that's like 15 million you got right there. All these then you have people that are just holders, probably another 5 million. So there's your 10 million right there. Okay, from lost and just holders, probably more than that. I would say 8, 9 million. I don't have the stats. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And then you only have about 2 million on exchanges that's like liquid. So that's like their pool right there. So you really only have probably 3 million liquid Bitcoin at any point in time. I would say, based on my experience and things that I have seen recently, I bet there's 2.5, 3 million liquid Bitcoin right now that, you know, people would just like on exchanges or are like ready to sell over the counter or whatever. Not a lot. That's 15% of the supply. So if you were to go in and just buy all of that over the course of however long, you get 15%. 30%, as the price goes up over time. But there are conspiracy theories out there too that BlackRock, well, they do. This is a conspiracy. Okay, so they own 5% of Strategy stock, right? The second biggest Bitcoin holder now with Michael Saylor at the helm. And it's theorized that they own this stock so that they can manipulate it down far enough to force Strategy to have to liquidate their Bitcoin holdings, thus triggering a wider market sell-off. Because if Strategy sells, everyone sells. That's a big oh no. You know, that's the thing too that kind of sucks right now, is that that's something, you know, if Strategy sells, that will heavily influence the price of Bitcoin and the sentiment. If Jerome Powell says something hawkish, whatever they call it, then it will influence the price of Bitcoin. So those are things it's not immune to that have changed over the years, how heavily influenced it is by these third parties. But it's inevitable that these are things were going to happen. And but anyways, getting back to what I was saying, BlackRock owns 5% of Strategy. They can force the price down enough for Strategy to have to sell their Bitcoin, thus triggering a huge market sell-off and allowing BlackRock to scoop up a bunch of cheap coins. And their theory controlling Bitcoin, you could heavily influence the price of Bitcoin. You wouldn't control Bitcoin, okay? And you would heavily influence the sentiment of Bitcoin. However, you don't control it. You don't control the miners. You don't control the validators. You don't control the programmers. There's a lot more to it than just accumulating Bitcoin and holding large amounts of Bitcoin. Yeah, you could influence the price heavily. And you would control it in that regard, but it would still be Bitcoin. It wouldn't change. This is totally unlike a publicly traded company that if you tanked their stock price, you do own the company. When you own a ton of their stock, you really do. Even if it was like 20%. If you own 20% of their stock, you could push that down a lot, put out bad media stories about it, and short the hell out of it. You know, dirty things like that happen all the time, and they're pretty much screwed from that point on. You know, so you do really control a publicly traded company whenever you own a ton of their stock, but not Bitcoin. You don't control it, not entirely. You can heavily influence the price, but Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. You're not going to change that. And they can put out all the bad news stories they want, but so it's much more immune to those attack vectors, which is an incredible property, a very unique property of Bitcoin. But yeah, so BlackRock's one of the biggest asset managers in the world, holds the largest amount of Bitcoin. And are they trying to control it? I highly doubt it. I think the incentives for them to make money off of their ETF product, that they're making a ton of money off of, and their own Bitcoin holdings, I think they're here to let it run. I don't think and I mean, how integrated Bitcoin is into so many things now, it's just like, if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing, you know? I truly think that it's just like everybody's joining it now. Banks, the government, countries, everybody. There's like the treasury. How many treasury plays there are right now? People buying Bitcoin to put in their treasury to hedge against any inflation fears. It's being viewed as a safe haven asset. It's better than gold. So I think they're here to, sure, accumulate a lot of Bitcoin, but this is held on behalf of their clients too. This isn't just them. It's not their Bitcoin. It is, but it's whenever people buy their ETF, they have to back legally, literally, they have to back it with real Bitcoin. And then whenever the person sells their ETF, I don't know if they liquidate the Bitcoin. Do they just keep it? I don't know. But nonetheless, they don't control Bitcoin because they own a ton of Bitcoin. So, and I don't think they can own enough of it. It's just a lot more immune. Bitcoin is so much more immune to being destroyed and controlled as opposed to a publicly traded company. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to be worried about here with BlackRock. I'm sure they have ill intentions, of course. Come on, let's not be naive. I'm sure there's some nefarious things going on. And why would they own strategy stock? Another thing is that it says that BlackRock owns those stocks, but they don't. I'm sure maybe they own some, but it's their clients that own the stocks because they're an asset manager, right? So it's not BlackRock that just owns those stocks. They're an asset manager who manages someone else's assets. And so their clients own it. So it's not just them. So it's their clients buying strategy to get exposed to Bitcoin, this Bitcoin thing indirectly. So I really don't think there's anything to worry about there with regards to BlackRock wanting to control Bitcoin and take it down. Who knows though? What do I know? I'm sure, these guys are rich enough to where they could probably just do that when, hey, they wake up, they're like, hey, what do you want to do today, Bob? Oh, I don't know, Joe, you want to take down Bitcoin? Sure, let's do it, and just like launch some evil plan just for fun, not even to make money or anything. I'm sure they figure out a way to make money, short it and just screw everybody and screw everything up, but I don't know. Totally plausible, but I think that we're going to ride this one out a little longer. And I think it's just going to underpin everything as what we peg everything's value to. That's just like the direction of where this is all going. You just see it. It's just like, the Philippines, they want to have a strategic reserve with 10,000 Bitcoin. There's a bill that's been proposed that they will buy 2,000 Bitcoin every year over 5 years and hold it for 20 years. Like, that's nuts. This is happening all around the world. And this is all happening within the past year, really. Like, since, 2024 and Trump. Let's be real. He has just totally kicked off this whole explosion in Bitcoin adoption. And, you can rent apartments in Dubai using Bitcoin. These countries are buying it, stockpiling it, holding it for 20 years. BlackRock, just the ETFs. We're going to have, the U.S. is going to have a strategic reserve. It goes on and on and on. Look, this story, Harvard has bought Bitcoin. Like $117 million in Bitcoin. And they bought BlackRock's ETF. Which is like the new standard now. People don't want to go out, sign up for an exchange and buy Bitcoin and have to store it and this and that. They just want to go to someone and say, here, I got some cash. Can I get some Bitcoin? Exposure to it. That's all I want. There's a huge market for that. And that's like the standard now. And that's what I think these huge ETF inflows, is what they're called, is showing us, is that this is what retail does now. They don't go on exchanges and buy Bitcoin anymore. It is like for people. It's pretty simple, but nonetheless, people just want to do that because they get all freaked out with storing it and everything. Even though I don't understand why. It's just like, would you lose a bar of gold? No. Would you lose a stack of $10,000? No. Would you lose your Bitcoin password? Yes. Why? It's just wild. But anyways, this is what these ETFs are showing us, is that this is what and even like big buyers like Harvard, 117 million. They just want to buy Bitcoin ETF. They don't want to actually buy real Bitcoin and store it and all that stuff. They want to do that, and it's just this is a huge shift in how Bitcoin is being perceived as a legitimate financial instrument. I think that's what's holding a lot of people back. But also, people are just adjusting to all this now. They're like, oh, I can just buy Bitcoin in an ETF now. I don't have to. These things take a little longer than you think. You know, of course, my head. Bitcoin should be $1 million already. This is ridiculous. But we're just floundering at 100. It's just funny too. You know, whenever we drop from 124,000 to 112, even saying those words 2 months ago would have been what? Wow. You know, it's just so funny how that happens. In these price targets get so old so fast. You know, 112,000 is like low now. Could you imagine being at $105,000 Bitcoin? Oh my God, sell it all. What do we gotta do? You know, like it's just funny how that happens. And I get it. We should blast past these numbers, but there are forces at play now that weren't there before, as well as it is so large now. It's 2.3 trillion dollar market cap. $1 trillion is so much money. That's a lot of money. And to move Bitcoin now, I mean, to move it 5% takes $100 billion. You know, to move it 1% takes 20 billion. That's a lot of money even. You know, so it's just harder to move it quicker, faster. I am actually liking this long, slow grind up instead of just the boom all the way up to 500 grand immediately. You know, it's gonna just be like this slow, and I think we'll hit that like crazy time where it like literally doubles in like a week. You know, from like 250 to like 500 or something, when just like ridiculous amounts of money pouring. We're just getting started here. I mean, it's just like, I think we're gonna see a prolonged bull market. I mean, into 2027, 2028, maybe even like 2030 if we get a good crypto president, another one next. You know, I mean, these things that are happening with the countries buying and the companies buying and the ETFs, I mean, there's so much money in addition to Donald Trump signing that executive order saying that you can invest in Bitcoin using your 401k. That unlocks so much money. Like, it's insane. If you just look around, you go, what? There's so much happening right now, and it's amazing to see. I saw this was like a pipe dream to me in like 2016. I knew all these things were going to happen in some way, shape, or form. I thought it would happen sooner, but it really not really. It was 8 years it took. Not even. 8-9 years. You know, for all these things to happen, and it's just glorious. Absolutely glorious. And I mean, love him or hate him, this is truly caused by one man, Donald Trump. I mean, if he didn't get in, the Biden administration was so against crypto, it was just nauseating. Like, they were going after people, they were debanking people, running, totally blocking innovation, stifling innovation, running people out of the country, running companies out of the country. It was just ridiculous. The SEC was going after everyone and their mother. Got Gary Gensler out of there. The SEC is all about crypto. The SEC chair's about crypto. I mean, the president's a crypto president. All these other countries are now one treasury. Like, you're not bullish enough, if you ask me. You know, I mean, and I think about those things. What if we get blindsided? Black Swan, BlackRock does do what we talked about earlier. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I don't know. But, you know, you only live once. Just hold on for dear life, folks. Alright, like I mentioned briefly, I mean, it's just this whole episode, or all my episodes really, how entrenched Bitcoin is into everything. And I mean, you can rent apartments in Dubai using Bitcoin. You can buy hotel reservations using Bitcoin. You can do so many things. Its real world uses now are just like incredible. I mean, it is becoming pristine collateral as well. You can use it as collateral to take out loans. I mean, that's going to be a huge thing. It already is a big thing, but it's going to be really big. You know, using Bitcoin as collateral to take out loans and do things with. I mean, this is real world use. This is real stuff. Like, it ain't no more drug dealer, dark web money, even though people still say that. It's so funny. Bitcoin's only used by drug dealers and money launderers. Oh, so my grandmother is a drug dealer and she's a money launderer? Oh, I didn't know that. How did you know that about her? You know, in this like Harvard article where it says they bought Bitcoin, this Harvard, really smart guy, his name is whatever, it's a long, weird name, professor of finance at UCLA. Quote, Bitcoin remains a highly speculative asset, far from being a standardized currency possessing any fundamental value. Oh, well, thanks for your input there, sir. I don't know if you noticed, but there's $2.2 trillion of money that thinks it has fundamental value. Your stocks are highly speculative. A lot of stocks are. And it's not far from being a standardized currency whatsoever. Do you see all the countries that are stockpiling it and buying it and moving towards making moves to do that? Everything he says here, I disagree with. It's a lowly speculative asset. It's not far from being a standardized currency, and it does possess fundamental value. I just can't believe people still say this today. It's incredible, and I think it's just really intellectually dishonest. They either don't want to admit they're wrong, or they're just mad they didn't buy any. Those are the two scenarios for those kinds of people. Watch them be right in the end. Bitcoin was made by the NSA or something. Oh my gosh, it was all a scam. Who knows? It could be true, but we live in a scam. Bitcoin is the least scammy thing to me. If in my opinion, sure, I have questions about everything. I question everything. I don't wear rose-colored glasses. I try to think of ways that things can fail, even things that I really like. But let's be real. Bitcoin ain't going anywhere anytime soon. And it has proven itself to not be a scam, to me at least. I mean, I've been involved since 2016, and there's been nothing weird about it. All my transactions have always gone through. It's just Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. And it doesn't change either. No one wants to implement code because no one wants to change the code because it works so perfectly. No one wants to screw it up. I think Bitcoin has been updated a matter of 2 times over the course of its entire life because no one wants to change it. It works, so don't change it. And even the code that was implemented was like nothing. Like, it was like the little things that just like made transaction fees cheaper. So it just like made the amount of data in a transaction smaller. It was a great update, actually. And then another one was it added more functionality to Bitcoin or something somehow. But just because programmers post code or something and then it's used on a test net for a while, miners have to adopt the code. So it's not just like the programmers can control everything. It's open source. That's what Bitcoin is. Open source is what it's called. So the code is just public. So anybody you could create your own cryptocurrency right now. You just copy the code of Bitcoin and just let it run. I mean, sure, you'd be the only one that has the coins, but if you had a friend and you wanted to send them some coins, you had like friends, like 10 friends, you have like your own currency, literally. You can do it instantly because the code is public. All the Ethereum's code, all those things. It's just a matter of how many people get behind it at that, I mean, there's been copies of Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin Cash, there's Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. But it's the miners that adopted. So there were a certain number of Bitcoin miners that adopted these other versions of Bitcoin. So, and there's a decent amount of people behind them, even though they're not the real Bitcoin. They're literally just copycats. There's a reason why Bitcoin has remained number one. So there's been many attempts to try to copy it and take it down. There's even been people that have stated that they're Satoshi. I'm Satoshi, I created Bitcoin. No one's ever been able to prove it. Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about there, but Bitcoin's awesome. I'm just going to say that much. Bitcoin's everywhere. It's not going anywhere. And if you don't see it having fundamental value at this point, I just feel sorry for you. I don't know. I mean, at least like entertain it, or just like try to understand it, because I think it's so important to have in a portfolio. One, because it has incredible upside still. $2 trillion in the grand scheme of things is nothing. I mean, not nothing, but it's pretty small, relatively speaking. Gold is like 20 trillion, and Bitcoin's digital gold. $20 trillion Bitcoin is $1 million Bitcoin, which we will get to eventually. I think by 2030. Just to further illustrate the acceptance of crypto by the world, the SEC, everything, XRP has finally gotten its lawsuit dismissed after years of whatever litigation, and they were just being attacked by the SEC. They were being singled out and attacked. I don't even really like XRP, but nonetheless, they were being just attacked for no reason, and it was they were just, the SEC was just on a rampage, just attacking crypto companies for no reason, stating that their securities, this and that, and oh my god, we need to take them down, and it's just insane, and they just drag them through the mud of the legal system, and but apparently that the appeals in this stipulation remains pending and therefore awaiting approval by the court. So yeah, so apparently this finally came to an end after, I think it's been since like I don't know, it's been so long. It was just because, yeah, they were supposedly an unregistered security. Oh, no, they were just trying to use them because Gary Gensler was just attacking every crypto company, wanted to try to use them to make it seem like crypto is this bad, horrible thing. But then, guess what happened in November? Donald Trump got in and went, "Get out of here, Gary, you're fired. Loser. Go home, Gary, you're drunk." So, yeah, just great stuff. I mean, crypto is just, it's here to stay. It ain't going anywhere. And it's awesome to see, too, that NFTs are blowing up again. I mean, these mood birds are going crazy. I'm really happy I have one. Been holding it for like a year and a half or so, but, I mean, NFTs are just going crazy again. I knew they'd come back. And I really, for some reason, had a feeling moonbirds were, and they really are. It's like I've gotten like a 6-7x on that. That was a nice little, I still hold it. I'm holding it for a little more. I think it can pass like 10. It was, previous all-time high was like 40 ETH. The moonbirds, NFTs. So yeah, good stuff. Let's hope Jerome Powell, Jerry P, J Pals, cuts those interest rates so the rest of the world can move on from this, so that life can go on, and so Bitcoin can go up. Please, oh almighty Jerry Powell, cut the interest rates. It's so sad that we're at this point, but we are. Unfortunately, that is the reality of the world now. Some old guy pretty much dictates where the price of Bitcoin goes. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Regardless, I think it'll go up anyways. It's just like short-term silly crap, you know. Oh my god, he's not gonna cut the rates. It's just so ridiculous. Oh, Bitcoin's at 112,000. Oh my god. What are we gonna do? Jerome. Like, it's sad how much it influences the price, but it does. What are you gonna do? Alright, folks, that does it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me talk about crypto. This crazy dude just talk about crypto. That's all I'm doing here. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate y'all. And until next time, I bid you farewell on your cryptocurrency journey.